seems to be an awful lot of sad stories in the news today, and there are thousands missing. Does anybody care? We built a channel where we talk about those faces. Talking News with Debbie. Cassie Barons has still not been found, and it's been 2 years since her case first hit the spotlight. Breaking. Chattanooga and Middle Valley both behind bars. Sarah Galloway was found. She wasn't found alive. What happened to Sarah Galloway?
It's too heartbreaking to share.
Children are still missing. Children like Dorsey. You're in shame. You just got away with it. Welcome to Talking News. Hello everyone. My name is Debbie. We use big stories to push little faces.
Hello, welcome to Chasing a Murderer. Please guys, before we get started, please subscribe, hit the like button, and then say hello in the comments. Welcome guys to our series, Life Beyond the Grave, which is going to be part 43, I think. Oh Lord, I probably should have looked into that before I've done this. But anyways, I've done so much work, it's hard to keep up with it all. But we're going to go ahead and start jumping into this video simply because we're going to cover some things that I believe Lori pretty much and Chad studied. And so we must understand some things of where, such as the demons, where they originate from, and some of these, doctrine that are pretty much not accepted through most of the Christianity religion. One of those being the Book of Enoch. And most of us are familiar with the Holy Bible, even if you're not Christian. And there are many stories and canon that are found or discovered by the Dead Sea that have not been added to the Bible. Some of those coming from the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of them being the Book of Enoch. It is basically made of 5 books and 100 chapters. Enoch being the 7th patriarch. The first part is the Book of the Watchers, which are fallen angels sent to earth to watch over humans. Number 2 is the Book of Parables. Number 3, the astronomical book. 4, the dream visions. 5, epistles. An interesting note about Enoch, not only is he the 7th patriarch and the grandfather of Noah from Noah's Ark and the father of Methuselah, Enoch lives in a time when he will be a witness to the days of tribulation when the wicked and the godless are removed from this earth. Enoch is considered to be the most righteous by God, and Enoch actually has visions of God in heaven in which he receives from the angels. So this is very familiar to Lori, Chad, and all them, because and Julie Rowe, where they receive a lot of visions from angels. So keep that in mind. Enoch also sees the future generations and their destiny. Some chosen to be the elect, some will be labeled as wicked and locked away. Enoch is actually kind of preparing for that time when the Holy One will walk amongst men on earth. He will appear from his camp. Somewhere in this period, tribulation will shake the earth, mountains, hills will be leveled, and all will perish. And after all this chaos and destruction, next will come Judgment Day. But first, let's kind of talk about the angels in heaven and how God refers to a certain group of about 200 who was given a job to see over mankind who reign on earth. He refers to them as archangels, also known as the Watchers. These select few who watch over the humans are skilled and devious supernatural arts. This includes, they're referred to as knowing sorcery, enchantments, spells. They also deal in teaching humans how to collect herbal roots. They also teach men how to make swords out of iron. Humans are supposed to be living a very righteous life. The leader of the Watchers is known as Shemihatza, responsible for teaching spells and sorcery. Aziel was in charge of teaching men how to make swords of iron. Some of these I'm not sure how to pronounce. So Kokabel, who taught the signs of the stars, astrology. And I need to describe something for you that has to do with the signs of the end days. Something that many preppers who offshoot from the LDS quite understand. Many of them believing that they have these magical powers or gifts. Let's talk about signs. In the Book of Enoch, some of these signs that God is coming is in winter, all but 14 trees will shed their leaves. Likewise, the summers will have growing, deadly heat, and you won't be able to hide from it. You can't seek shade. Nothing will save you from the heat of this summer. And those who speak against God will perish and have no peace during this time. The years of destruction will be multiplied in eternal execration, and ye will find no mercy. So God, the merciful, will have no more mercy to give. Those that have sinned, cursed, and cast spells and refused God's will know God's wrath. And in the Book of Enoch, it explains that while the godless are cursed, the righteous shall rejoice, and there will be forgiveness for their sins. And once God is walking this earth, these select few, the chosen, shall inherit the entire earth. And from that time on, man should actually be wise, humble, and never sin again. Meaning that this earth will only have good humans walk it forever. And the reward basically for this is they will live years and years. Their years will be increased, as will their joy of life. There will be no war, no hate, and no sin. And they should be fertile and make lots of children. Now let's see why God has no mercy any longer and he wants to destroy the earth. So God select angels, the Watchers, whose job is to see over mankind, begins to lust after the human women they watch. And I can't go into all the details here because it could go on for hours, but basically these angels all have names and they have a leader. At first they say this isn't something we should do, and ultimately they go against what they should do and go down to earth and seek wives. They aren't worried about the penalty for such a great sin. These God select angels, the Watchers, have given in to their lust, and they basically promise an oath to do as they please and seek out the human women to bear children. So they all ultimately agree to this, and there's about 10 named angels. And the one thing you should understand about Enoch is he is giving the special gift of knowing what's going to happen during tribulation. And Enoch's eyes are actually opened by God himself. And his eyes and ears are open to the heavens, meaning that he's able to see everything that's going on in the heavens and all around. But while he's receiving these visions of the wars and the destruction to come, this would not be something that would affect him and his generation. This would come about for the generations after Enoch. It is said that the Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal God will tread upon the earth. And not only will sinners of human form be shaking or quake by his presence, also the watchers will as well, because they are also sinning. So God's presence on earth will be everywhere, in every spot, and no one can deny that he is not here on earth. The fact that the watchers are in such fear, they must know that there's major consequences to face for their actions, and also that there is no mercy for the leaders God has chosen who commit such sins. But let's jump back a little bit. So the watchers have decided to go down to earth, and in some ways they say that the watchers are they push themselves on these women. Why other parts of this Book of Enoch suggest that they take on to wives. Regardless, the women become pregnant, and they are carrying these infants, which are half-breeds, half archangel, half human. And when these women give birth, these infants and grow up to be huge giants. And it's described that they are to grow up to be 3,000 ells. But no one knows exactly how big that is, what that means. So you have to kind of guess that it's somewhere between 450 feet to 4,500 foot tall. It could be referred to as a cubit, which is different for everyone, so that doesn't help. But a lot of people imagine that these children grow up to be miles tall. Imagine being so tall that your head touches the clouds in the sky. This is actually bigger than many of the dinosaurs, even stacked on top of one another. Can you imagine? The largest dinosaur, and then stacking it till finally it reaches the clouds. And it's stories like this that draws in the people who are looking for signs of the end days, apocalyptic warnings, and for secret messages. And really, reading the fact that humans and angels made these giants actually would blow one's mind. These children of the angels and the humans are referred to or known as the Nephilim. So this must go on generations, because they say that the Nephilim actually grow in huge numbers. And this creates issues with resources, like for feeding them. And these giants turn out to be so incredibly dark. They actually end up, eating humans, creating wars, and even resort to cannibalism. And God is absolutely frustrated and upset that the angels have done this. His most trusting servants, who are supposed to be the most loyal, they are destroying what God created, which was once peaceful and beautiful, now is chaotic and sinful. So while these watchers were fornicating with these women, they also are teaching magical spells, casting enchantments. So remember, in this case later on, you'll hear some strange things that Chad Daybell does, and Lori, Zulema, and several others. They'll use pendulums, portals, and actually claim that other people are placing spells on them. And these are skills given to the angels and not to mankind. Enoch learns in these visions that there are portals in heaven. The watchers were giving special gifts. They are not flesh. These are spiritual beings. These are not human and human form, and they were supposed to remain as spiritual beings. Now, humans who are flesh and bone are committing these sins with these spiritual beings. They will never be able to ascend into heaven, nor will the spirits. Now, to be honest, this is a difficult book to detail in a short amount of time. There are several versions of the, Enoch story, but we'll just go with what's general for now. We know essentially the earth must be flooded now that the earth is so corrupt, and it is corrupted by God's archangels. And it's not just humans that will suffer, it is everything that lives on earth. And now God must call in a new set of angels, the most loyal angels, to cast away certain angels from heaven and earth. And so this lesson must be understood. So God is seeing those who do not do as he say or says, they are to be punished and thrown into dark places, locked up, doomed forever, and there is no forgiveness. Now remember, in the Lori Vallow case, loyalty will come into play, and that is how they keep a lot of people who are in with this group in line. God says these archangels who are doomed to live in darkness forever, God will not only put them in darkness, but he will cover their faces so that they never see light again. And when that time comes, that judgment day finally approaches, these dark angels will be cast into a fire. This is important to understand because we're trying to figure out why Tyler Ryan was tossed into a fire, and we have several ideas as to that. So when this event, Judgment Day, comes and the burning of the angels start, this will heal the earth and correct the corruption and plague on the earth. God seems to go back and forth. At times he's just wanting to get rid of mankind because he's angry with them. Sometimes he wants to protect men from these dark ways of the watchers and erase it from their sons in all aspects. There are several angels who are bounty hunters, to be honest, in this event to destroy all these wicked sinners. Gabriel, Michael, just to name a few. He will seek out, at least Gabriel will, the bastards / giants and destroy them. And how will he do this? Well, Gabriel is told by God to turn these bastard sons against one another so that they destroy one another. So basically war. And the parents who love their sons and daughters so much cannot request of God's mercy to spare these children, because God will refuse. Then the angel Michael, another of God's loyal agents, is sent out to bind other angels who fornicated and created havoc on earth. Meanwhile, Enoch is continuing to get these visions given to him from the angels in heaven, and he's starting to gaze upon a place that has several holes in the ground, 3 of them being dark with fire and 1 of them being bright. And this is where the spirits will be held. So the sinners in the dark holes and the spirits awaiting Judgment Day, the good, enlightened, righteous spirits in the light, bright hole. A lot of people believe this is referring to the first idea of hell. And you remember, it doesn't seem that God wants men to have very much knowledge. Knowledge seems to be troublesome for mankind, at least in God's view. And this is also mentioned in the story about Adam and Eve. And well, this is another subject we have to do another time. So we learn that humans did cry out to God for help once these Nephilim come along and the angels had created all this devastation. And God's solution is basically turning these Nephilim against one another in war so that they take each other out. Then 4 archangels, which we just spoke about, are sent to earth to take care of this problem. In fact, one of these angels are the the angel that will alert Noah of the flood to come. And one of the angels are going after Odysee. And Odysee is the watcher that was teaching humans about swords and iron making. So God definitely did not like that. This angel Odysee is going to be thrown into a deep hole immediately for forever. Gabriel's got the message from God in Enoch 10:9. Go, Gabriel, to the bastards, to the half-breeds, to the sons of miscegenation, and destroy the sons of the watchers from among the sons of men. God then selects Michael to imprison the leader of the watchers, Shemihaza. Interestingly, Enoch is basically considered a prophet and more righteous than anyone. And God sends him to speak to the watchers, and it's later on that Enoch will see the watchers that have been imprisoned, and they will beg Enoch to go talk to God for them and ask God to have mercy and to forgive them. Now, I do think I need to remind you that this is not anything attached to the Mormon religion, and that this is basically a spin-off from a mention in a Bible of this guy. It goes by the name of Enoch, and it's full of apocalypse, end times, warnings, visions, stories. Interestingly, Enoch chapter 71:14, it says that Enoch is the son of man who was born for the righteousness, similar to Jesus. So Enoch gets a chance to see this deep underworld that is filled with fire, in which the angels will be confined forever. I just had to do this story quick for you guys because we needed to kind of know some of these stories so that we can understand, the thought process and where the minds of these people lie. And the fact, we still have to go through Job, a few other things, because Lori Vallow loved to refer to Job, especially while she was behind bars, and we'll go over why I think that is. So in this timeline of Lori Vallow's life, she's starting to worry about end days, and she's looking for signs of tribulation, and she's also searching for people who are thinking similar to her, had kind of the same thoughts. She's reading Chad Daybell's books, and he's talking about these things, and she's very interested and actually becoming obsessed with Chad. Now, guys, I'm really struggling to put this series together at this point because there's so much information and so much to learn in a very small amount of time. Not only that, have you guys checked out the news stories that's coming out right now? It's crazy. I know a lot of you are following the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. That is something else, isn't it? That's another video for another time because it's just insane watching. I did catch some of it. Now, I want to remind you guys, do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and also check out, I have Patreon if you want to give to that. Don't do it if you're struggling, but if you can help out this channel, you can hit the Patreon. It's up there in the right hand corner of our channel. Thanks for caring, guys, and I'll see you guys soon.